is this a Super Bowl-ish team that nobody wants to acknowledge because of Deshaun Watson's past?
And the next thing you know, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is your quarterback for the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, and Deshaun Watson's nowhere to be found.
I think Cleveland has the best defense in the league.
So he was medically cleared to play. If he would have said, I'm good, he would have played?
Yes.
If you're cleared, you should be out there.
I am once again asking you to calm down. So heading into week 4, a lot of the national media was starting to pick up steam, starting to pick up on the fact that this defense was legit. And even though the defense allowed a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns on Sunday, I don't think anyone would deny that when you're out left on the field that long, you're just going to start cracking and giving up big plays. But now, just like after week 2 against the Steelers, the fan base is imploding. Now Kevin Stefanski's a bad coach. He needs to be fired. He's a horrible play caller. Andrew Berry's a bad GM for trading Josh Dobbs. Deshaun Watson isn't tough because he didn't play through his injury. The trend of being an optimistic Cleveland fan like we talk about on this channel has not fully picked up yet. People on Twitter are going back to the Browns are the Browns. We're cursed. We're this, we're that. The negative mentality that feeds into the mediocrity that we've been plagued with. The major issue with this fan base consistently is after a win, we're Super Bowl bound, and after a loss, we need to blow up the entire organization, fire the head coach, fire the GM, get a new quarterback. I didn't make a call on the Cleveland-Baltimore game going into it in last week's video because I knew this was going to be a serious tough one. Even if Watson was playing, this was going to be a hard game to win. And why? Baltimore is a well-coached, tough, physical, downhill team with a former MVP at quarterback, probably the second best tight end for my money in football, and a solid defense that is well coached. Even with all of their injuries, they are a well coached team with a lot of experience in general. So of course that was going to be a hard game to win. And on that note, let's jump into the Deshaun Watson situation, because this is one that's really been grinding my gears on Twitter, especially in the aftermath of the game. So people are saying you would have had to drag Baker off the field to not play in that game. Okay, he's not that guy, but we also know he's played on a torn ACL. He's played with broken ribs. His toughness should not be in question. In terms of his understanding of what could limit him throughout the entire season, that is a smart decision. It's a decision that Baker didn't make because of his pride and his ego that caused his career to nosedive in Cleveland. It ruined everything for him. And it's not like this was a non-throwing shoulder injury like Baker's. Remember, that was his left side. It was a torn labrum in his lead shoulder, not his throwing shoulder. This was a contusion to the throwing shoulder. It was the right call in him not playing. And this is just for anyone who's going to jump in the comments and say, well, that's not how they did it in the old days, and all of the excuses you'll try and make to downplay a smart long-term decision. I would really like to see your playing resume, the injuries you've played through, and the amount of pain tolerance you've put up with on the football field. It's really funny, the opinions that non-doctors, non-former athletes, non-current athletes have about other people's pain tolerance and the things that they have to go through, and how hard those decisions are to make, especially in Watson's situation. He's coming off of his best game. He's finally back in rhythm. The national media is finally starting to let up a little bit on him. You think he didn't want to play in that game? Mary Kay Cabot coming out saying, oh yeah, he was medically cleared, and Kevin Stefanski, whatever you want to make out of all of that. Being medically cleared means absolutely nothing. Was J.K. Dobbins medically cleared when he came back to play on his peg leg last year? That 1,000% wound up influencing his Achilles injury from this year. How about Joe Burrow? Is he medically cleared? They're 1-3 right now. The guy has no calf. He's making it worse every week that he plays on it, and they're getting no positive production out of him. He would have been better off to sit out the full first month of the season, completely recover and rehab it, and then come out fully healthy. This is a marathon, not a sprint. The final thing I want to say on Watson, the reason why he needs to recover is because he is a physical, tough player. When he ran that QB power, he ran downhill and blew up a safety who had a running head start on him. That's why he hurt his shoulder. It's because he's playing hard and running tough in the red zone. So all of that to say, it was the right decision for him not to play. If he went out and got hurt, everyone would go, oh my God, the Browns are cursed, our starting quarterback. It's like, yeah, you're seeing the status quo be changed by someone making an educated decision and not just trying to prove that they're tough. it was the right move. Okay, next, let's talk about Stefanski's game plan and DTR's performance. This was the big topic for discussion. How do you go out there and barely run the ball? How do you set up so much gimmicky stuff for DTR rather than giving him simple plays and whatnot? Fact of the matter is, DTR is still expected to be able to go in there and execute, and he had opportunities. There was a lot of stuff underneath, there was a lot of stuff in the flats, easy completions that he was giving up because he was locked in on one guy downfield and not able to scan. And this is not a knock on DTR whatsoever. That is a very hard first start to go in and play the Baltimore Ravens with a bad left tackle who we all know about and who I'm going to get to, and really finding out a couple hours before the game that you're getting your first start. He didn't have a ton of time to mentally prepare for this. And you really can't underestimate the value and importance of mental preparation, being able to visualize yourself in your first start. That takes days to lead up to be fully comfortable. But he just missed out on a lot. In terms of not running the ball enough, this was something where when I first was watching the game live, I was screaming at the TV saying, why aren't they running the ball more? In the same way that DTR was missing some layup throws, some simple underneath stuff, and some stuff to the flats, he was also losing opportunities to run the ball himself. There was one read option in a key scenario where Jadeveon Clowney chased down from the backside and tackled Jerome Ford in the backfield. That is a clear take for DTR. He has his eyes on that end. That is the read man. He's supposed to take that ball when he sees Clowney crash down to chase Ford. That is all open space that he has to eat up there, but he didn't. And a lot of that has to do with nerves and whatnot, but still, you are expected as QB2 to be able to do that because those are plays that you really show your strengths in. We also saw him make some absolutely boneheaded decisions, bad throws, staring down one guy, linebackers just dropping into a zone. He's getting bracketed by a safety, escaping on a run, trying to lateral it to Harrison Bryant. There was just a lot of bad stuff. I don't think anyone going into the season would have been saying we need DTR to beat the Ravens in week 4. So that is a huge ask. So I don't put any of that on him, and I think he gave a valiant effort. He fought, and there's a ton to be learned, but I think it's clear to see now the true value of Deshaun Watson. You want to talk about the questions being answered. The command that Watson was starting to show last week was just so exceptional. He really was getting comfortable in the pocket, delivering the ball, understanding the offense at a higher level. Switching to DTR, we saw what the old Watson looked like in the beginning of his time in this offense. So we can't deny Watson was the right move. He is a good quarterback. He will continue to improve, and once he's fully healthy, he is going to just keep advancing. The middle part of our schedule is exactly the time he needs to be able to ramp things up and get ready for a late season playoff push. In general, you could go on and on and on and on about this game. The fact of the matter is that Baltimore ran the ball extremely well once this defense became tired because the offense could not convert. That's really the story of this game, and there were plays to be made, but there was a lot left out there. Could Stefanski have called more run plays in the start of the game to help DTR get some rhythm? Absolutely, 100%. I would say that that was a big blind spot of his, but he's not a bad coach, guys. Like, if you watch the All-22 film, you can see that there are opportunities left out there constantly by both quarterbacks, and the Titans game was just one where they weren't leaving opportunities on the board. They weren't leaving touchdowns on the board. One thing that we should be negative about, that we should be absolutely hard-nosed about, is Jedrick Wills. This guy is... Jedrick Wills is such a low effort football player. It is really a shame to see someone with that kind of potential just squander it every time because they have no interest in being physical. And this is Will's biggest issue. He accepts punishment and never delivers it. He accepts the force, the bull rush, whatever it is, into himself, and he's stumbling back on his heels. He has no aggressive punch whatsoever. He plays a little patty cake and then shuts down, stands there, watches his guys get hit, and doesn't even bother to help them off the ground. He is absolutely the weak link on this offense, and that is something that needs to be addressed in this bye week. Everyone's talked about Garrett Bowles. I honestly don't care. I think anyone would be an upgrade over Jedrick Wills right now, and it is going to be the detriment of this team and the health of these quarterbacks if it is not addressed right now. So let's do a little reality check here heading into the bye. If you told Browns fans that Nick Chubb would be out and Deshaun Watson would miss a game and have the worst game of his career in week 2, but this team would still be 2-2, a lot of people would be very happy with that. People wouldn't be saying fire Stefanski, fire Andrew Berry. It is a solid place to be for the time being and given the circumstances, so everyone has to relax. Take this week, take stock of everything good that has happened, the growth that we've seen. Also, people want to talk about how unfortunate the Browns are. How about the complete blessing in disguise of having the week 5 bye? Myles Garrett, hurt ankle. Deshaun Watson, hurt shoulder. A lot of dings, nicks, and bruises coming up around the roster. This was the perfect time to have a bye week. So look at that. And guys, if you don't believe me that there were a lot of opportunities left on the board, a lot of opportunities left on the field by DTR, I'm going to put out a video next week using more of the All-22 film. Finally got my hands on it, and we're going to go through, is it a bad play call or is it a bad process by the player, by the person pulling the trigger? Everyone take the weekend off, keep the heart rates down, and a lot of great stuff coming soon. And 2-2, what more could you ask for? Whole season ahead of us. Team's going to be healthy. It's going to be good. All right. See you in the next one.